Hi, I'm Astrid from the Knust Extrapol printing studio here in Nijmegen, the Netherlands. And um, we are going to make a cozine together. I've been working at Knust since late 2011. I work in all facets, so pre-press, printing, finishing, but also these kind of projects, and with a lot of international artists and designers as well. So it's always fun to meet new people and work with new people and ideas.
My name is Bruno, and he is Matheus.
Nós temos um selo, que é a Promo, já tem um bom tempo, mas nos últimos tempos a gente tem retomado a atividade de maneira mais intensa. E o nosso trabalho, ele sempre passou por uma ideia de experimentar dentro dos meios de se produzir com pouco. Bom, a gente faz projetos que são, de fato, bastante experimentais. Isso foi uma das nossas publicações, lançadas no ano passado, e a ideia era produzir um cartão postal, enfim, né, em que a materialidade fosse uma conversa, assim. Aqui a gente tem um livro do Bruno, mas que está aqui junto com a nossa produção. Mais um que eu quero mostrar, que está aqui no meu Instagram. It's another publication.
So you can tear them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it makes one piece.
Yeah. Essa publicação, ela tem uma questão que é que ela, desde o início, ela foi feita só como um planejamento, né, assim, como um projeto. E nós nunca fizemos ela toda montada. As impressões são feitas com spray, né? Então a gente cria imperfeições onde o acaso acaba sendo uma parte importante do produto final. Assim. Bom, eu acredito que essas sejam algumas publicações que podem falar um pouco do que nós fazemos, assim, dessa dinâmica de experimento mesmo, que para nós é muito importante, que ela, de certa forma, vem muito bem junto da ideia de trocar cores, fazer um projeto experimental à distância e assim por diante.
I work mainly on book projects, and one of the projects we do is the cozine project. And the focus on cozine is on smaller booklets, but small doesn't have to be less. Small can also be bigger in one way. The books are A5 size and mainly around 16 pages, 2 to 3 colors, and the colors are different per booklet. There's a small story inside. Mainly it's drawings, but sometimes can also be photographs. a different kind of artwork each time. But the essence is that it's focusing on the subtle, and in Dutch, small can also mean much more than in the English phrase of saying. One of the latest cosines has also been published and printed this year. It's called Tic Tac with Chloe Paris Laboudette. And it shows poems and drawings she has made in French, but also English, printed on Ricoh with lavender, beige and yellow, and light gray. The Cosine is a project that we don't work in residency, but we work closely together with artists, and we decide colors together. First, we prepare the files ready on the computer, and we separate the color layers into black and white layers. And each layer will be translated into a black and white page that we send to the printer, each color having a different print layer. And when they combine, sometimes you get different mixtures of colors, which is actually the really nice thing about visual printing. If you go compare it to silkscreen printing, this is always more difficult to get mixtures between colors in a very small halftone or grid pattern. But with visual printing, you can make very soft gradients. I think that's also why people like it a lot, but also the vibrant colors. And it translates the texture and artistic feel of the artwork very well. Yeah, and after we have the print ready files, we do the printing process. And that's a bit planning wise. So we always print the lighter colors first and the darker colors. And after printing, finishing, we also do here ourselves, mostly, or at least we try to, binding and cutting the books. So the new cosine is going to be with the artists who also made the visual identity of Faiska. And I think we'll be printing the booklet on the older Ricoh machine. Now we're still experimenting which colors we're going to use, but the focus of the booklet is more on the abstract. So it will be fun exploring the colors and textures.
A identidade, de alguma forma, partiu da ideia, pedaços de papel que a gente imaginou como uma espécie de mapa fragmentado ou mapa desconstruído. A gente pensou bastante a respeito de uma espécie de imaginário tropical, numa espécie de visão estereotipada, assim, né? De alguma forma, partindo de um certo senso de humor também, e um pensamento um pouco crítico de pensar essa visualidade como algo que é a primeira coisa que as pessoas imaginam sobre o Brasil, assim, né? A gente partiu de alguns referenciais para poder pensar nessas imagens. Elas são um pouco abstratas e um pouco estranhas, mas foi de onde saiu. Mas o que a gente pensou foi como se a gente estivesse imaginando o chão de um lugar onde aconteceu uma festa e aquele chão ficou abandonado depois da festa. E, de alguma forma, isso traduz um pouco a nossa sensação sobre uma série de aspectos de que tipo de Brasil a gente gostaria de comunicar com o mundo de alguma forma, assim, né? Como quais elementos do que a gente vive agora a gente poderia mencionar e relevar e divulgar como imagem.
A kind of the explosion of the world of the political moment in Brazil. A kind of the ends of the notion of the nation that we constructed about this time and this period,
Okay. Yeah. So it's more like a bittersweet
Yes.
atmosphere. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was thinking you are making these images together, and I'm very curious how is your working process of making together? Is it just one of you making one layer and responding, or do each of you make different images? How does it work?
A gente começou isso presencialmente, como a Ellen falou, e que a partir do momento que ficou à distância, acabou tomando uma certa dimensão de um jogo de composições onde nós tínhamos mais ou menos as mesmas peças e a gente vai aos poucos, cada um fazendo diferentes combinações e assim a gente vem formando essas imagens.
Yeah.
Para criar essa identidade, a gente tentou explorar características que são características que são muito caras para a ideia da risografia. Assim, né? Então, a gente pensou, de fato, na sobreposição das cores, a gente pensou, de fato, no desencontro dos registros, caso isso aconteça, e nas texturas. Esses são três elementos que foram importantes.
Yeah, I think that's very visible in the images. The idea that is why also me, Joyce and Dick, we thought, oh yeah, this is really will fit well also in the concept of the cuisine. Normally the cuisine it works a little bit different because it's already finished projects of people and then we just decide the colors. But in essence, this is very different approach because also now it's in the context of Paishka, but also the distance and for you as well, how to make it. So it can be a very interesting project, I think. It will be interesting for people to know how it came about. Okay, now I'm preparing the test prints for the Cosing Paiska and pixel image files I normally color separate in Photoshop. I will choose the colors. It's a surprise. How it was? Well, it will be something different, of course. And it's a test print. And now the PDF is ready, and then we will go next door to make test prints. Bisque en cornflower. Dat zachte hiervan uit. Dit is dan met raspberry. Dat is een beetje. Ja. En met cornflower nog goed krijgen gewoon hier op zijn aardig. Ja. En hier is raspberry is dan eigenlijk al een te donker. Maybe binding, you can already think about that. Most of them were bound with this pamphlet stitch, but doesn't need to be. This one was called glue bind, printed as spreads and then laid on top and then glued. This was just with elastic, the band, because he wanted to insert postcards but didn't want people to tear it out. It was more like we wanted to be more like a folder to that place, so it's like this, and you could still mark it on what's it called in English? Like this board, and you can put newspaper articles and stuff. That was kind of the idea, I think, of that booklet. So if it fits for the concepts, and stapling is possible. We also have the ones with the eyes, the more fancy staples. It's possible if you like that sort of thing. Oh yeah, and we have I don't have an example here, but we have the Singer stitch. It's a stitch all the way over the back. I can get an example of
This one, you
Beautiful.
like. Oh, maybe you don't see it at all. But there's a stitch. Maybe now. Now you see it, right?
Yeah.
So that's also possible. It was a few stairs. I don't know, but it's really weird, but it's 35 degrees today in Netherlands. It's like hottest September day in here.
We are here in the little shop of Extrapol, the Extrapol graphic shop. It's normally open on Saturday afternoon from 1 to 5 and run by volunteers. And we sell our art prints here, A2 art prints, but also the books and the wallpaper we make here. And if you move further on in the shop, you'll get into the print workspace where we work, print, and make everything. And also do some